Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome to the breakdown Sunday evening. A bit later than normal. Welcome. Hopefully you can hear me because I just noticed my cats have been walking all over the roadcaster, so I don't know if they've muted it or changed it to robotic voice, but I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Cardiff City got over the line. 3 points, much needed 3 points, especially with Derby County picking up a late goal as well. So yes, it was a bit of an interesting, nerve-wracking, stressful weekend. But it is what it is. We'll talk about it. We'll break it all down. We'll have a look. It's been a high pressure week, isn't it? It's one of them, right, where Luton was so bad that you really feared the worst, almost more so because of the nature of the performance than even anything else, really. It was the nature of it. You could have accepted losing against Luton if Cardiff had just been knocking on the door and been really high standard, and they just weren't. They were very, very poor. But I thought yesterday, he set up in that 5-3-2, which is what it is. But they fought for it. They battled, and Joe Rawls only done 38 minutes before he felt something in his calf. But I thought he led by example, and he set the tone. I thought the young players who came on did really well. And it kind of is what it is. And it's so tight in the championship. Graham's just said there that the Jacks are not out of it. They're not. And if you look at their games, I think when I looked yesterday, there was I think it's 6 points between Derby and Swansea up in 15th. Stoke lost again. So, it's really, really tight. And a couple of wins for anybody, and you're right back in comfortable. Derby, have won 3 on a bounce. All of a sudden, they look dead and buried. Them and Plymouth looked like they were 2 of the 3. And then it was going to be one other. All of a sudden, Derby are right back, in with a chance of surviving. Luton, Plymouth, I think, are struggling, but Luton, Derby, Cardiff, Stoke, Hull, Oxford, Portsmouth, Swansea, all of them could go down. Well, not all of them, but any combination of them could go down depending on results. The big games for Cardiff are Oxford and Stoke and Sheffield Wednesday. I think they're your 3 winnable games on paper. For football, and especially at the end of the season, it's strange. You get some funny results, but if you're, if you're a Cardiff fan and you're being realistic, I think the results you've got to target are Sheffield Wednesday, which is the next game, and then you've got QPR, Stoke, Preston, Stoke, Sheffield United, Oxford, West Brom, Norwich. You've got to target wins, I think, against Stoke and Oxford, particularly because their teams around you. I think QPR, Preston, whilst difficult away games, they're winnable. But once you get to the Sheffield United away, West Brom at home, Norwich away, those 3 are going to be very difficult. So you got to be realistic, and we haven't been as good away from home as we are now. So I'm in a look, and this is, by the way, this is not me saying the big I am. I just want to say, I'm in a very privileged position in that I get to hear a lot of stuff from behind the scenes, and I get to hear lots of rumors and news and stuff. Very privileged that way. Sometimes, it feels like a privilege, but also it's real stressful because you hear or I've hear a lot of the negative stuff which has gone out through the season, which people don't know about. And I think in the summer I might discuss some of it, but there's the reason why I generally haven't talked about it publicly is, there is certain reasons for certain things, but also it's because, I love Cardiff City. Cardiff City is my life, and I desperately, desperately need us to stay up, want us to stay up. And me being negative and just putting out stuff that I hear just for the big, oh, look what I've heard, because a few people messaged me over the weekend saying you should talk about this, you should talk about that. And it's like, it's not what I want to do. I want to talk about the football. And on the football, I thought it was a battling display. But I also thought with a bit of luck, we could have won a bit more comfortable. But Blackburn had a little period. But I thought we were decent-ish without being amazing. You know, if I'm a Blackburn fan, I'm tearing my hair out. If you look at their recent results against the relegation-threatened teams when they're pushing for playoffs, you'd be furious. But if you kind of go through the team, Ethan Howworth had a really interesting game because on one hand, there's the disallowed goal goes through him, and you're thinking, oh my gosh. But then equally, he then redeems himself with a couple of decent saves. And I just, as I say, battling performance is the way I would describe it, rather than filled with quality, which is ultimately all that matters. Like, all that matters at the moment is results, not performances. And as bad as we were against Luton, it wouldn't have mattered if we'd found a way to win. We didn't. Blackburn, which is on paper a much tougher game, away from home against a playoff chasing team, doing much better than Luton, and somehow we go and win. The Championship is such a strange league. Like, you can go and win anywhere you go. Any game you can win on given day. But when the pressure gets higher and higher as you're getting towards this squeaky bum time, as it were, it becomes much harder to perform. It becomes much harder to show off your quality and the quality that you've got on the pitch. So it's not, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. I was really, really pleased for Yaku Mete. He's had a difficult season. And look, from a purely footballing point of view, I think at the end of the season, Cardiff should shake his hand and say, thank you for your time, but we're going to move in a different direction. On a human level, I was really pleased with him. He's taken a load of abuse from his own fans in some cases. And again, with the finish, that's what you wanted to see from him. I don't think it's any coincidence, by the way, that Cardiff scored from 2 crosses and looked dangerous from crosses. I think we've been saying that for a lot of the season because we've got, even before Salic came in, you had players who could finish in the likes of Mate and Colwell and Robinson and Robertson and the rest. So it was good to see us finally putting some balls in the box. I don't know why it's taken as long as it did. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to do a player rating video tomorrow. So I'm going to kind of fly through the team a bit and talk about what I thought of the individual performances. Again, I saw a lot of hate for Ruben Colwell yesterday. People saying he wasn't working hard. And if you go back and watch the last 15 minutes of that game, he's sprinting everywhere, trying to cover ground defensively. It might not be his best game on the ball or, from a quality point of view, but this narrative that he doesn't work hard is odd to me. I just don't see it. But, it's all about opinions at the end of the day, isn't it? And I understand that. So, yeah, I thought your man, mate, Howworth, who I know, some people really love him. Some people, I know, like Reese, for instance, who does stuff for us, he stresses him out big time. He thinks he feels like he's going to make a mistake or give the ball away all the time. I think he was shaky at the start of the season. Then obviously Alnwick got his place back as the kind of number one. And then in the cup run, I thought Howworth did really well. I think he was a big part of that. And then Howworth does look a bit nervy sometimes, but I do think he did all right yesterday. By and large, I'm not saying he was amazing, but he certainly redeemed himself. Let's have a look. I mean, according to the statistics, he only made the one save, a couple of claims, saves inside boxes, accurate passes 38%, which is mad for a keeper, but that's because he had 26 passes. All 26 were long. Only 10 of them found their their target. So obviously that's going to bring that percentage down. I thought he did all right. Not amazing, but he certainly, when it counted, was there. I thought Perry NG again was real good. I think it's him finding his form and his desire and his whatever you want to say, his application since he's come back from injury. And he came back from injury, was a bit ropey, and then he's really found it. And he does look a lot like the old Perry NG. I really like him as the right hand side of the back three. I think it suits him a little bit more maybe now, but 5 clearances, a couple of interceptions, a couple of tackles, 2 out of 2 aerial duels, only the 1 out of the 4 ground duels won, but aerial duels he's won and he's done really well. 48% accurate passes, but again, 14 long balls. So when you go more direct and you go longer, the distribution and that kind of possession percentage, if you like, is going to go down with the individual stats. Will Fish, I mean, what more do I say about Will Fish without people thinking that like I've got a crush on him or something? Like, I just don't know what to. I don't know what to say. Like other than he should be starting. He should have been starting for a long time ago. He should have had many more games this season and never has let us down. And you got to remember as well, by the way, he is still very young. But like, obviously came through the academy at United, then went and played 2 seasons at Hibs and played like 30 odd games in both seasons. Like he's young, but he's fairly experienced. He's a big boy. I thought he was real good. Again, 4 clearances, 2 block shots, 1 interception, 1 tackle. Got dribbled past the 1 time. Won 1 out of 3 ground duels, but 4 out of 6 aerial duels. Only lost possession 11 times. 67% passing accuracy. 4 out of his 7 long balls found their mark. I think that's a kind of underrated part of his game. Had 1 key pass as well, which means it led to a chance. Real solid game. One of our better players, and he's got to start like all the time at the moment. And for me, in fact, particularly if 3-5-2, 5-3-2 is what we're going to stick with in this run-in. Gutas has got to earn his right back in now because NG played well, Bagan played well. I mean, Bagan's had a great season. He made 1 mistake. Was a bit unlucky to be dropped, in my opinion. And, back 3 did well, solid. Joe Bagan, 2 out of 6 ground duels, 2 out of 5 aerial duels. All right. Lost 8 times he lost possession. Not too bad at all. 79% accurate passes, 1 key pass, 2 out of 4 long balls found their mark. So as you can see, the distribution from Fish and Begum was pretty good compared to NG and Halworth. And that's not necessarily a dig at those two. It's more just that I thought Fish and Begum were real tidy with the ball. Rena Mota came back in. Don't mind that if you want to be defensively solid. Gave him a little break. He's been reliable all season. He just looked mentally tired. 69% accurate passes. Just don't look. Lost possession only 5 times. Great. Won 6 out of 11 ground duels. Excellent battling performance. 4 total tackles. Won a couple of fouls. Gave away 3. But a real good performance from him as well. Solid. And so, like, really, so far we've gone through the right wing back, the 3 centre backs, and the keeper. And you say they were all, or certainly the outfield players, solid. Keeper was decent. So that's a good basis to keeping things a bit tighter. A Dowder at left wing back, I think it suits him so much more than being an out-and-out left back. Drove forward for that goal. And when he had Alves with him, that really benefited him as well because that gave Blackburn a lot of trouble. I thought, just on a side note before I would get sidetracked, as always, I thought Isaac Davis and Alves were superb. Genuinely, like Isaac Davis, for me, got to start. Like, I really believe that. Like, even if he plays off Salic, I think he's got to start. Yeah, Dowda, just 2 clearances, 3 interceptions, 3 tackles, got dribble past a couple of times, but he's an attacker. 3 out of 4 aerial duels won by O'Dowda, 4 out of 9 ground duels, 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 2 out of 5 successful long balls. Like, O'Dowda, for me, if everybody had his attitude, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in, because he is the ultimate professional, leads by example, treats the fans the way they should be treated. He cares about the club, and always puts a solid shift in. Joe Rawls only played the 38 minutes, but I thought he led by example. Really tidy with the ball, as you'd expect. Aggressive. Just looking, 3 out of 3 ground duels, 1 out of 1 aerial duels. So yes, he had a short stint, a couple of interceptions, a couple of tackles, but very, very solid. I'm going to fly through these because I don't want to spend too much time on it. But, Mansvik gets the assist for the first goal, driving forward. His ball carrying's been a real asset since he's come in, and he battles and he's aggressive. 3 out of 5 ground duels. Tackles, interceptions, again, like a battling performance. Mansvik, I think the January signings have really helped us, and they may end up being the difference, because you've got a goal scorer, a ball carrying, battling midfielder. I do feel a little bit sorry for Alex Robertson, I got to be honest, because I thought up until his injury, he was by far one of our better players, and we kind of rushed him back. He struggled a little bit, and now he's not even getting on the pitch, which is, I'm sure, frustrating for him. But we just got to find ways to win. And then you've got Salic, another goal, shock, put it in the box and he'll score. He lost his head a little bit, got frustrated, and ended up coming off. But I mean, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, 1 successful dribble attempt, won 3 out of 7 ground duels, 7 out of 15 aerial duels. Like, this is something that we've sincerely lacked, is a striker who can link up play, can run in behind, but if you put it in the box, does his best work between the posts. Loving it. Great signing. Long may he continue. My worry is that some of these young lads, Salic, I missed out Callum Chambers, I'll talk about him now. Salic, Robertson, Isaac, Ruben, whoever, all these guys, I'm worried that they're going to get frustrated. And I just hope we hold on to all of them in the summer, because they're the ones that we should be building around. Fish, all these guys, Bagan. But I guess we'll see where we are in the summer. Callum Chambers, again, he's fast becoming just that guy who bangs out a 7 to 8 out of 10 every single week. 70% accurate passes, 4 out of 10 long balls found their mark, 1 successful dribble, 4 out of 5 ground duels, 6 out of 7 aerial duels, barely lost possession, picks up a couple of fouls, makes a couple of clearances, interceptions, tackles, etc. Like, he's been pretty much a revelation in midfield, I got to say. I think he's been excellent since he's been gone to that sort of defensive midfield role. Has been right up there for me with O'Dowda, Rena Mota in terms of consistency. It's just that we haven't been able to find that consistency everywhere. Callum Robinson, bit of a quiet one, but he works hard, 69% accurate passes, 1 out of 4 ground duels, 1 out of 1 aerial duels, didn't lose possession too much, a couple of interceptions, tackles, battled, did his thing. Ruben worked hard, huffed to puffed, but just didn't. It wasn't his day at all. And as I said at the start, by no means am I saying that he was excellent or anything like that. I just thought this narrative that he was awful was just a bit mad. Like, we need to be dirty work. Like, he had 2 out of 3 successful dribble attempts, 8 out of 13 ground duels won again. Like, he wins the ball back so much, but he doesn't work hard. 3 out of 3 aerial duels won. Only lost possession 15 times, which is, pretty much average for everyone. Won 5 total tackles, a couple of interceptions, only got dribbled past once in the whole game, or for the time he was on. 53 minutes he played. Yeah, like, again, on the ball, not excellent, but won the ball back a lot, worked hard. You know, it's when players are not having their day on the ball, but then they don't offer anything else. I think that's when it's a problem. If a player's working hard and working for the team and doing the job he's been asked to do, but when it gets on the ball, it's not quite happening to him. That happens to it. You know, that happens. Will Alves, such a player. I would genuinely, I want Leicester to stay in the Premier League because I think if Leicester stay up, we might be able to get Alves on loan next year. But he is some player for such a young lad, considering this is his first loan as well. 3 out of 4 accurate passes, 1 out of 1 crosses found the mark, 1 big chance created, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 4 out of 5 ground duels won, which is a real underrated part of his game, is the winning the ball back. Similar to Ruben, he does it a lot. 2 interceptions, very, very good, works very hard. Part of the Mate, crosses the ball in from Mate as well. Excellent. Great to see David Turnbull back. I thought he made a big difference, actually, because he looks to pass the ball forward. He looks to progress the play. He doesn't just think, I'm going to hold it. He tries to do something with it. You know, he's going to take him a bit of time to get back up to speed and fitness, but it's a big lift. I think he's, this season, he's shown what he can do, because I think last season, everyone was questioning, you know, Pullet was playing him in number 10. He didn't seem like a number 10, and it was weird, but it's really shown what he's capable of. 1 out of 2 aerial duels, only lost possession 6 times, clearances, battling performance, as I say. Isaac Davis, I thought him and Alves probably the pick of the subs, and that seems weird because Mate obviously gets the goal, who I'll talk about in just a sec, but, you know, just really good ball carrying, 1 out of 4 ground duels, 2 out of 5 accurate passes. So statistically, he had 1 tackle, 1 interception. Statistically, it doesn't seem like he had that good a game. I just thought he looked real sharp and real dangerous. Decision-making was pretty good too. Yaku Mate came on for 18 minutes and made a massive impact on the game. Worked hard, held the ball up, had 2 shots on target, 1 out of 1 successful dribbles, missed 1 big chance, but scores a big chance as well. 1 out of 3 accurate passes, 1 out of 2 ground duels, 3 out of 6 aerial duels. Exactly what we needed him to do. Come on, be the guy up front, work hard, and when the chance came, he took it. That's all you can ask of him. And it was really, really pleased for him. I thought it was a bit odd to take Darland, Lawler, and then not have him in the squad. Just don't really get it, to be honest with you. Like, Lawler could have played in the 21s for me, and that would be better for his development, you know. But it kind of is. It is what it is, isn't it? It is what it is. So let's talk about it anyway. You know, it is what it is. I thought Cardiff showed a bit of fight yesterday. It's just frustration. Let's have a look at what some of you guys are saying, because I'm always interested in what the people are saying. Probably disagreeing with me. Saw a few people mentioning, just scroll past them now, I'll come back to it now. A few people mentioning toxic fans who seem to be happier when we lose and the rest of it. But look, it's no bit about what we here, what we do on this channel is we talk about Cardiff 7 days a week, first and foremost. We're fans who go to the games, hence we very rarely do watch-alongs, and we try to be as balanced and as fair as possible. If it's shit, we say it's shit. If it's all right, it's all right. But ultimately, all that matters at the moment is we have to dig in and just got to fight. And it doesn't matter if the players are best friends or the fans or the players like the manager. Don't care. The board don't care. We just got to find a way to win football matches. So my message to anyone is, like, if you don't like the manager or you don't like the board or the players don't like the manager or whatever, they don't like tactics or whatever, whatever it may be, all these different things that go around and you hear and you see on social media. Just everyone get behind the club and play for the club and get just, even if you do it for yourself from a player point of view and have that professional pride. And, there's players in there who care and there's frustration there ultimately, isn't it? Died a Wheel says, fair play, great header. It was a phenomenal header, mate. Alex says, we are staying up. I hope so, mate. I really do. A lot more belief than I did on Tuesday. Tuesday, I was broken. Absolutely broken. Alex and Evan debating whether I look like David Wagner. Well, don't know about that. I once got told, when I used to play cricket in my younger days, I used to be called Jimmy because apparently I look like Jimmy Adams from West Indies cricket team. For any cricket fans, and that stuck for years as well. Jimmy Adams, didn't see it myself, but there we go. Cy Wagner, Jesus. Maybe they should give me the job. Evan says both Mate and Kanga scored on the weekend. Turns out Kanga was the answer all along. There we go. You've been saying that all along, mate. Evan, do me a favor while I remember. Message me after the show, mate, please, because I'll forget. Paul Cy Wagner. Alex Sims says, to be fair, I think we stay up by the tiniest of margins. I stand by what I've said. I think there's 3 worse teams than us. I also think Derby won't keep up the form they're in now for the whole, the rest of the season. They've had 3 good games. And I stand by the fact Stoke are in free fall. They are struggling. But you know what that means? Normally when a team is in free fall, they come to the Cardiff City Stadium and you know what happens. So we've got to change that. It's, and like someone mentioned earlier, Swansea, Portsmouth, Oxford, Hull, any of those teams can get dragged down. Especially if we, can pick up points against Preston, Oxford, QPR. That can Stoke, that can really, really put the cat amongst the pigeons. It's in our hands ultimately. So we have to make sure that we keep it that way. Because while it's in your hands, you can battle and you can fight and you can do. Evan says, who'd have thought Raskutas play fish to win? I mean, Ahmad, you'd have to have been some football mind to work that out. So whoever said that for the last 7 weeks, shout out to them. Reese says, evening. Reese also says, I think so too, Alex. But 5 is a big ask. So the general feeling seems to be at the moment in the chat that we might, stay up, but it's going to be touch and go. Jamie says, Maytay's post-match interview about the players have the ability, but they need to show the fight, because in a dogfight, ability alone is not enough. So fair play to her. And he's spot on, mate. We've been saying all season, the quality of the players is not in question. They are good enough. We have to, it's the mentality and the application that has let us down time and time again. The application, particularly switching off and focus, that's what's cost us points. And we wouldn't be in this situation if we hadn't switched off at those points, because we were winning those games, or we'd come back into those games, or, whatever it may be. Alex says, we can't keep playing the ball round at the back. I want attacking Reza ball, not boring round the back, Errol Bullet ball. And I mean, if you go back to last season, pre-season, one of the things I said about Errol Bullet and the way he wanted to play football is possession football can be exciting and it can be the way to play in the Championship, but the passing has to have purpose and you have to break lines. That's the whole point of playing out from the back, is to drag teams to press you and then play through them quickly and believe you take 3, 4, 5 players out of the game with 2 passes. We don't often move the ball enough, quick enough. Suze, welcome, says, well done, Omar Risa and the Bluebirds, 3 points at Blackburn, lots of credit deserved. Yeah, big credit, because it was a difficult game. And I can't imagine, regardless of whether you think he should go or not, or stay, wherever, I'm not about that. the pressure that he must be under is something like out of this world, like something that I think a lot of us will never understand, because it's constant. And do you know what? One thing I'll say to him is fair play to him, right? People message him on social media and he replies good and bad. I've seen people telling him he's shit and he just replies, thank you for your honesty. Like, takes balls, mate. I quite like it. I like him, and I would have really liked to have seen him succeed. I just can't see, even if we stay up, I just don't think the Cardiff will stick with him, like the board and that. Like, I might be wrong. You know, it's not based on hearing anything. It's just, I just can't see it. But the one thing which works in his favour always is Vincent Han really likes him. I admire the way he goes, I admire the way he is with fans. He doesn't shy away from it. Good or bad, he will, respond. I question people messaging him. Like, I don't know where people find the time, but whatever. People are angry. People are emotional. It's the social media age, baby. Reese Lasky says, yeah, Gutas needed dropping. It's been needed for a while. Yeah, well, I think it'd be interesting what side we put out after the international break, because I think some players are going to be back. And what do you go with? You need fighters, but you need some quality on the pitch as well. I did worry yesterday when I saw the side, like defensively, I thought, that looks pretty solid. I did worry how we were going to create and get the ball into the forward two. But I mean, Mansfield put that to bed. What a cross that was, by the way. Jamie says, teams around us have some fixtures where opponents will be on the beach, so it's not going to be easy. Championship is weird, mate. Like, we just got to concentrate on ourselves. Ultimately, if we win some games, we're going to stay up because it's in our hands. Like, I think that's all that we need to focus on is our own thing, because it's in our hands. We haven't got to rely on other people's results. So just focus on the job at hand, win one game at a time, and just go and get something from it. That's all you can do. Reese says, do you think we'll bring him back in, referring to Gutas? It's difficult to say in it because you don't know like what's going to go on in the international break and stuff like that. So it is difficult. What I'll be frustrated by is if Fish is dropped. Darlan's going to be back as well because he's going to have had another 2 weeks. Dylan Lawler's knocking on the door. So there's lots of players. Graham says, problem is, have been saying to drop Gutas for weeks, so why can't Reese see it? It's strange. I was starting to wonder if it's in his contract to play X amount of games. The weird thing for me, mate, is not even that. The weird thing for me is, yes, like I can almost justify sticking with Gutas to a certain extent for some of that time. What I couldn't really get on board with was not playing Fish. And then if it became like a straight thing between the two on form, I think you had to go for Fish. So if you're saying like they wanted a left footer and Bagan in the central defensive area, then I think you have to go with Fish on form. That was the kind of puzzling thing. I also think it's pretty obvious for every man and their dog that Gutas isn't staying in the summer, regardless of whether Cardiff want him to. It looks like he's leaving, I think, which is another thing I think you've got to take into account. Now, I'm not questioning his dedication to Cardiff, but in a relegation fight, if someone knows they're leaving, and that's just not him, anyone, if anyone knows they're definitely leaving in the summer, regardless of whether we stay up or go down, they've already decided one way or another they're leaving, I'd question how much they're in it for the fight for the football club. And I think Gutas is probably a rare exception to that because he puts his body on the line and he tries his best every game. But low on like the basics, Fish has been in better form and he's proven it time and time again. he's proven that he'll go and win headers as well in a similar vein to what Gutas kind of does. So there was no reason to keep going with Gutas when he looked like he was either needed a break or was out of form. They all put a shift in. Alex says, I actually love the linesman on the far side. Yeah, let's talk about that, by the way, because that was weird. You do not see that very often. Late on, in injury time almost, Blackburn get awarded a penalty. And it was like the most bizarre decision from the ref. He had a clear view of it. It was just, there was no push in the back. If it did hit O'Dowda's hand, it was after it hit the striker's hand. And I'm not even sure it hit O'Dowda's hand anyway. He gives a penalty. Cardiff players are going nuts. And fair play to Callum O'Dowda. He was straight up to the ref. He told the other players to like, leave it and spoke to him. And I tell you what, the balls on that linesman to go, no, that's wrong. Like, because very rarely will a linesman kind of not overrule, but be so what's the word? Like, so like adamant in their decision that they'll say to the ref, no, you've got that wrong, because they'll generally let the ref go with what he sees. Balls of steel. And do you know, all I could think of when that penalty was given was, we're going to end up going down because of this. And it was exactly like the Chelsea one in the Premier League where they had that goal, which was like 4 yards offside. And then VAR came in the season after. And I was like, you know, we'll go down. And then next season, VAR will be in the Championship. Now, by no means and in any way do I want VAR in the Championship. But I'm just saying it would be sod's law, like, because it was never a penalty. It was not a push, wasn't like any contact. And I'm not even particularly sure it was a handball from either. It was just a weird decision. But it was the sort of decision which, if it goes against you at this time of the season, can be a very, not just a season changer, a game changer, can be a long-term changer. Like, it would be nice to finish the season, wouldn't it, and just go on like a little winning run, and then actually end up in the last sort of 3 games not really having any pressure on us because we'd gone on like a 3 or 4 game winning run now. But, you know, that wouldn't be very Cardiff, would it? Got to keep us interested and keep us happy. Jonathan says Derby have to play most of the teams fighting relegation. Yeah, so the good thing about that, I think, is I just don't think they win all the games. Like, they're in good form, but the other teams are going to be fighting for their lives. So, you know, they get a late goal against Plymouth. They play Preston next. Then they play the Jacks. And then they play Burnley. So from a Cardiff point of view, I look at that. I want, you know, lose to Derby. I kind of hope they beat the Jacks because they drag Swansea back in. But then Preston are only a point ahead of Derby as well. So it's like, do you want more teams dragged into it? Or would you be rather Derby just lose all 3 of those games and then gives us a bit of a gap if we can pick up some points? We just got to pick up points ultimately is what it comes down to. The ref was terrible, agreed, Graham. Evan says, it's mad to think we could see 3 completely different teams in the relegation zone by the end of the season. Potentially Stoke, Hull, Oxford, or Portsmouth. But I think Plymouth are too far gone. Yeah, my problem with Plymouth is they've never really got much of a run together. Like, they've never looked like they've turned that corner for me. So I think, yeah, I agree with that. I think they're probably gone. Derby form-wise are right up there, aren't they? It's one of them. Let's have a look. Joshua says, agree, Rolls set the tone for the game. Get into them from the start makes a huge difference. It's something we've been crying out for, mate, isn't it? Is the team to start aggressive and fast and really get at them. Jeff says we need the Jacks. Drag them in. Paul says, Will Fish, my man of the match, was immense yesterday along with Bagan and NG. Reno a surprise, but got doubled up on at times. Dolan was everywhere for them, caused us problems, but a good day. Yeah, I said about Dolan, mate, in the preview. dangerous player. And yeah, Renamoto got doubled up on, but Mike Bayan says he's got to stick with the same back four for more than one game. That will help. Yeah, this is an issue. It's change. Like, I understand you got to rotate, but the back three or the centre backs, particularly, whether it's a back three or a back two in terms of centre backs, they don't do as much running as the rest of the positions in terms of ground covered. So I think once you find a pair, now whether that's Bacon and Fish, with then NG being the third, or whether Darland comes in to be the third, I just think you've got to find your pair and your preferred third one and stick with it. Because for me, Fish is the most in form of the centre-backs, with Bacon not far behind. And I also think having a left-footed centre-back really, really helps open up the pitch. Evan says Cardiff will lose or draw winnable games and win against the big teams. Yeah, well, we're never going to make it easy for the fans and for ourselves. Paul says Gutes has to earn his place back. Yeah, I agree with that. And he could be a big player for us, by the way, for between now and the end of the season, because at his best, he's the sort of centre-back you need in these types of situations. Graham says, agreed, Dolan for them was class, but Fish put in a shift, as did a few others. I don't think anyone shirked their responsibility yesterday, I have to say. I thought everyone put a shift in. Jeff said we need the Jacks to actually do us a favour. Vlad says, welcome, mate. Says, after Portsmouth beat Leeds, I thought they were safe, but they've been dragged back in. On paper, Oxford have the toughest run in. Yeah, and they're struggling a little bit, Oxford are as well. We have to beat Oxford. We have to. By hook, by crook, whatever, we've got to just find a way to beat them. Sue says, next game, the Jacks have got Leeds, while we've got Sheffield Wednesday. We could bring the gap to 2 points and then the game's back on. Yeah, I said a couple of games ago, they're not safe. They could be in trouble because they got some hard games, and I don't see any. I look at their team, and I don't see like a goal scorer who's going to score them loads of goals. They have a few who kind of contribute goals now and again, but there's not like that prolific goal scorer. Harry Darling is one of the most overrated centre-backs in the Championship, which means they've got a mistake in him at the back as well. So, yeah, for me, Swansea could very well get dragged into it. I don't think I see him going down, but you never know. Like, you look at Stoke's form and how quickly they've been dragged into it. You lose a couple and the pressure builds, and then suddenly you're like right down with the relegation teams, and it's the pressure then, isn't it? Like, you look at Oxford's form. Oxford's form is lose, 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 draw, lose, and they won yesterday. And they've got Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, and QPR the next 3 games. So they could easily come away with like a point from those 3 games. So who have Hull got the next 3? Hull have got Luton, Sheffield Wednesday, and Watford. So Hull have got 3 winnable games, really. You could see them picking up 4 points maybe from those 3 at least. Again, this is why it's important that Cardiff just do their job game by game. Because I look at some of the teams that other teams have got to play, and they've got some real difficult games. Like Swansea have got Leeds next. You'd expect Leeds to win that. But then they've got Derby and Plymouth. Now, if they were to somehow lose all 3 of those games, because Derby will be fighting for their life, they're in form. Plymouth are going to be fighting for their life, and Leeds are going for the title. It's not out of this realm of possibility that Swansea lose all 3 of them goals, those games, and then they are right in it. Especially if some of the results elsewhere go against them, they are right in it. So I don't believe they're safe by any means. Especially when you look at some of the games they've got to play. Stoke, who have been in terrible form, lost to Millwall yesterday. They have QPR, Preston, Luton next. So look, with Stoke, they are in a bit of a free fall. Has Mark Robbins been found out without his assistant manager? I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? Because when he was manager of Coventry, they fell apart as soon as the assistant left, and he hasn't been able to have the impact at Stoke that I think many thought he would. If Stoke go and win 2 of those 3 against QPR, Preston, Luton, they'll probably be all right. But if they lose all 3 or lose 2 of the 3, even they could be banging trouble. Who've Derby got next 3? Derby've got Preston, Swansea, Burnley. So yeah, like it's going to be real tight, isn't it? Really, really tight, whichever way you look at it. Sue says, credit, 2 lovely crosses, find their man, headed in. Man's work to find Salic, and then Reese's subs changed the shape, pays off, and combining Alves having almost scored crosses to find Mate for the goal. How do you guys feel about starting as like a 5-3-2 and then like trying to be solid first half, and then second half trying to open it up a little bit with the pace of the youngsters and really opening the game up? Like, that's an interesting one. It's an interesting tactic. It can backfire, but I don't think it's the worst. Yeah, that was the save I was referring to. Vlad says that save at 1-1 was pivotal. Yeah, 100%. If that goes in, it's a real different game. First time, Paul says early first time crosses win 2 games yesterday. Hit the spot. Yeah. Graham says, do you think Colwell would be better suited to the Premiership, having more time on the ball? You don't get that luxury in the Championship, and he ends up trying to take on 3 or 4. I do think, I actually, like, I can't remember if I had this conversation on a show or with someone privately, but I actually think if he was to go somewhere, wherever, like Villa or whoever, like in the Premier League, I think he'll go and shine, and then he'll probably end up going to a bigger club. But just from maybe he's not suited. I don't think he's suited to I don't think we have done over the years done a great job of getting the best out of him by the players we've put around him. And then now, where I actually think we have got some players around him who could link up quite well. I quite like the way he links up with Tanner and Alves. We haven't really got the luxury because we're in a dogfight. But I still think he can be a big contributor between now and the end of a season. And I think people just need someone to have a go at. It's the nature of social media. So like an average performance gets blown out as like terrible. Evan says the Championship is a lottery every season. It's not fair. Some teams have Premier League talent, whereas others have combined value of 3 million for the whole squad, and a poorer team can still win. Yeah, it's a weird one, mate. But then we've got one of the highest wage bills in the league. Is it like 5th or something? It's just one of them, innit? Sue says, thank you to the ref and the linesman for correcting a terrible cause. Ballsy decision, I agree. Jeff says Ruben's too lightweight, regardless if he works hard. And Jonathan says, I don't think Ruben does enough. I think he tries to do too much. A simple pass or shot is on. He won't take it. He wants to try and make it look pretty, but gets closed down or loses the ball. Maybe, mate. I think it is difficult because I wonder sometimes whether he's been told to carry the ball to try and take the pressure off at times. But I agree, he should move the ball quicker at certain points. Paul says, Howverth, good shot stopper, but his footwork and his passing are no. But it was good to see him pumping the ball upfield and not passing it around at the back. That's our weakness, and we get caught out. We do get caught out. I also don't want to see us just lumping it up for the sake of it. I would like to see long passes to the wingers. And then if you've got to lump it up long, kind of put it in a channel for the pace to run onto. But look, needs must at the end of the day. Graham says, I was fuming with Risa when he took Salic off and then Robertson for Yaku. I was venting my anger to my son, and then he scores. So what do I know? I think, in fairness, Salic, I think, had lost his head a little bit. Not quite sure what happened, but he looked like his head had gone a little bit. And sometimes you've got to take emotion out of it. Sometimes you've got to use emotion. Lewis, welcome, mate. It says Alves is some player, mate. Yeah, I agree with that. He is some player. Vlad says Renamo had some problems with their winger in the first half, but he definitely improved after the break. He did, mate, but he also, there's kind of you know, a few different things can be true, can't they? Like, he did struggle with him a little bit. I thought Tyrese Dolan was by far their best player. But also I thought Rinomhota quite often was left 2-on-1. So it is difficult, but I agree, did struggle a little bit. Paul says, home games, we have to be dominating teams. It's our turf. The mentality has to change. Players have to also make it a fortress, not just the fans. Yeah, I agree with that, mate. But also now as fans at home, we have to turn up for the team between now and the end of the season. And we have to make it difficult and hostile and get behind the team. I think the example you've got to use at home to the players, if you're the coaches and the manager, is Swansea second half, Plymouth, and usually the last 20 minutes of games when we're trying to get something out. Where we press high, we always cause teams problems. Joe Rawls set the tone yesterday with how he went about pressing and getting into people and not giving teams time. Because if we do that, and we don't give teams time and we don't give teams respect when it's a home game, and we go and try and win football matches, we've got the quality. It will get the crowd up, but also it makes other teams not able to implement their game plan and play the way they want to play. So I would like to see that. Paul says Mansverk left Rinomhota open at times, 2 of the wings attacking him, but they changed it at halftime. Yeah, I mean, Mansverk was playing a slightly different role, wasn't he? So it is tricky. Jeff says, problem with the home games, a lot of fans have turned toxic, listening to poisonous people. You can see players hate playing there. Get rid of that god-awful Men of Harlech. Awful. Interesting. Reese says, honestly, you guys say the same things on repeat about Ruben on here every pod, like it doesn't get old talking about the negatives. Never hear anyone praise the boy. We all know what he needs to do. It needs to improve on, but it won't happen overnight. Yeah, I agree. It's difficult, isn't it? Lewis says, you have to give it to Reset. The January signings have been brilliant. They have been very, very good. Martin mentions toxic people. Reese says, to be fair, everyone is super respectful in this space, Matt, and I love it, but still have the same criticism every pod. Give the lad a break. Yeah, look, everyone's entitled to an opinion, and I understand. I understand why people get frustrated with Ruben. I just don't understand why there's not more support for him as a homegrown player, like, and a young player at that. He's still only 22, like, and it's clear that he's going to develop at different level and different time. Like I've said this before, but development and that kind of like progression through a player's career is not linear. It's not the same for everyone. It's not come through the academy, go on loan for a season, and then you're ready for the first team. Everybody's different. Some players don't hit their peak. Look at Gyökeres, who was at Coventry, was all right, decent championship striker. And then as he's got to like his mid to late 20s, he's become a world-class striker. Don't think anyone saw that coming, but his progression is different for people. I just wish there was a bit more positivity in terms of, I understand the frustration with the board and the owner, and I understand the frustration with tactics and things, and it gets exasperating when you're watching it. I understand that. I understand the emotion and all of it which comes with it. I do it. Everyone does it. I just sometimes would wish that people would just take a step back and remember when, before social media, and you just talk about stuff in a pub, about, you know, the football and that. But when it was game day, you'd all turn up, you'd all get behind the team. And that's when the atmospheres was good in football, you know. But I also want people to have an opinion here, even if they disagree with me or they disagree with each other, as long as you're not being knobheads to each other and you're not abusing people like players and stuff. I welcome everyone, you know, especially people who disagree with me. I really do. But like, there's a way to do it. You know, we're not babies. We know how to behave and be fucking civil, like, you know. But it's just my opinion. Other people might have a different opinion. You know, I know some people have the opinion, I pay my money for a ticket, so I can do what I want. Fine. Not sure how it's going to help the players save us from relegation, but that is your prerogative. Sue says, it was lovely to answer the double negative fans saying can't see us winning. Mate being the player that answering the sub raised eyebrows would have won it. And look, Sue's right. I was one of them who said, like, I couldn't understand. I couldn't believe that, like, he was bringing on Mate when you got Ashford there. I think Ashford's been super unlucky to not be playing at the moment. I thought he was in really good form, and he hasn't got on the pitch recently. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them. That's a great point. Reece says we've missed Turnbull big time. Yeah, I mean Turnbull and Robertson as a two in midfield were really starting to fly and really started. Like that's when I think Reece's best sort of period was when we had Turnbull, Robertson, and Colwell as the three. Robinson up front. We were doing really, really well, and then injuries kind of derailed that a little bit. Turnbull first, then Robertson. It's different. Martin says, to get the best out of Salic, I think we need to pick wide players who can put the ball in the box. 100%, mate. 100%. I don't mind the 3-5-2. I think for the situation we're in, I actually don't think it's the worst formation because you can overload the middle a little bit with some battling, attacking players and I guess some players who are creative as well. But then you can also have the wingers and a five at the back when you need. So you can have like an O'Dowd at left wing back, a Reina-Moto, or I even think Keane Ashford could do a job at right wing back in certain games. And have that pace to put balls in the box. Have three kind of. You could almost go with like three combative midfielders, like we did yesterday from the start, where you've got Mansverk, Chambers, Rolls, and then have Salic. And if you don't want to go with Robinson from that game, you can put Ruben in the 10, or Rolls is out now, so you can put Turnbull in there or Robertson in there. Like there's different combinations, but I think winning the midfield battle is vital. Moving the ball quickly is vital. So having the players to be able to do that from a technical aspect, but you got to earn that right. And before you can think about the technical aspect, you have to have fighters in there, and you have to have people who are going to put themselves about and be aggressive. Mansverk has made a big difference because of that. Reece says Alves and Ashford would be my pick. Yeah, I think they'd be my pick for the wide players if we play like 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. Although I think Isaac Davis, I think, is in real good form. And if we do stick with the 3-5-2, like if we had a game Tuesday now, I think I would be looking at Salic and Davis up front. I think Davis has looked really good the last couple of games he's played. Jamie says Leicester are going back down. Same three that went up going down. Last season, same three that went down are going up. Boring. Yeah, it's frustrating, mate. It's money, isn't it? Renario, welcome, mate. Says that win has saved Reece's bacon. Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like, judging by his interview yesterday after the game, I was like, wow, does he know that he's leaving? Because he didn't seem that upbeat, but he knows, like, it's like after that whole game, it's almost like everyone relaxed a little bit, but it just can change so quickly. No, Darland wasn't on the bench, mate. Yeah, Lewin came down last year. That's a good point. Yeah, mate. I just enjoyed, like, looking back. I rewatched the game earlier, and I just enjoyed it, like knowing the result as well, and so you haven't got to stress. Darland wasn't in the squad. He might have been sat on the bench, but he was not in the squad. Let me double check. No, the unused substitutes were Matthew Turner, Gutas, Willock, and Keane Ashford. Darland and Lawler travelled, but were not in the squad. Yeah, Turnbull's a big one. If you can get Turnbull and you can get Robertson firing now, I would love to see like a 3 of sort of like Chambers or Manswerk sitting, and then Robertson and Turnbull, because I think that can do both the battling and the progression of the ball. Preston's they're a bit of a bogey side for us, Jonathan. You're right there, mate. We've got to win games, but it's in our hands, Martin, as you say. Like, that's the thing. While it's in our hands, just go and win football matches. Reese says you're spot on. So I don't know what that's about, mate, because I'm a bit behind the comments, but I'll just say yes. Yes, I am. Fish, he says, fish form too good not to play the lad. Yeah, I just don't get it, mate. Then again, Lawler also didn't let anyone down again. Yeah, and that's the thing, mate. Like, Lawler's clearly knocking on the door. They clearly, like, I know he's highly rated, but the coaches and Reese clearly like him, because since the Villa game, he's been nigh on in the first team group. I think he's only played one 21s game since, which was a cup game. And what I'd like to see is, I'd like to see us get safe and then give him like a few games. So me and Evan had this kind of debate the other day, like in the preview. Is it the time to bring him in? Like, he did such a great job against Villa, but I wouldn't drop Bagan. I wouldn't drop Fish. I don't think I'd drop NG unless I was changing the system. So it's kind of one of them. They can't all play. Gutas, Darlin, fit. So in my opinion, if Lawler's not going to be in the squad, but he's going to train with the first team, he's got to play for the 21s for his own development. Pointless taking him and not. And like my thing is as well, is if Darlin was with the group, why did we take Lawler with us? Why didn't we leave him with the 21s? Because he was never going to get in front of Darlin, Gutas, who were both in the group. So it's a bit of a weird one, unless there was like a doubt on someone's fitness, maybe. I'm not sure. Jonathan says, Matey looks like he's leaving, like he knows he's leaving, but he's finally scored. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few of them who know they're leaving, mate. I'm relatively sure that Joe Rawls knows he's leaving, but he's still fighting for the team. Well, it seems weird. I would have thought if he was staying, we'd have offered him a contract by now, because he's the club captain. But I might be wrong. What do I know? Just guessing. Where's that gone? Yeah. Paul says, come on, get your missus, your girlfriends, your kids, your granny, your auntie, your grandpops, your uncles to subscribe. We need 3 more subscribers for the 1,000. Let's get it done tonight. Yeah, if you're not subscribed, because I know it's mad, like 40% of the people who watch the channel not subscribed. So they watch regularly, not subscribed. So please do subscribe. It's free. Click the bell, and then you get a notification every time we upload stuff. Got some really interesting conversation starters coming over the international break. Got that Joe Bagan video, the Ruben video, the Salic video. There's a video on Risa. We've also got the Cymru and Birth podcast back. Me and Harry will be taking you through all the international break with the Wales stuff. I've forgotten what days that is going to be on. Got a feeling it might well be tomorrow. Shall I double check that so I can advertise it properly? Where's Harry? Harry on Wales. So we're looking at Tuesday night. No, let's look. Wales play Saturday and Tuesday, so we'll go right. So it was supposed to be Thursday, but I can't do Thursday because of my son's 18th birthday. So we're looking at Monday evening, Thursday next week, where we'll be previewing, chatting through the games, all that good stuff on the channel. But there'll be plenty of Cardiff City content throughout the week in an international break. There's a couple of pre-recorded videos. There'll be the usual shows on top of that as well. So don't fear if you don't follow Wales. But if you do follow Wales, we have a Wales-specific series that we do every international break. And Harry's real good. He knows his stuff. So I like it. He's a good guy as well. He's just a baby as well. So if we are late for those shows, just bear with us. It's because Harry hasn't settled the baby yet. Once he's settled the baby, we'll be live. I remember them days. My kids are all adults. Well, from Thursday they will be. Lewis says, how many points do you think we'll need? So I honestly, mate, I think it's almost impossible to know, because you could say like X amount, but if Stoke lose a load of games, or Swansea lose a load of games, or even QPR lost a lot of games, it might be enough. And even if you don't get many, I just think we've got to take it game. Just get what we can get. Just get as many as possible. Is that right? Is that right, Paul? That 1,000 is up? That'd be nice, wouldn't it? If we could do it live on the show just before I finish up. Let's get a live count. Right, if you've got any questions, I will answer them now as quick as I can. I'll scroll right down to the bottom and then I'll have a look. Adam says, hi, mate. Yeah, nice. Good. He says, never. I always watch, but I never comment. Get involved, mate. Get involved and say hello. And if you want to become a member, then become a member. Just press the join button. And if you do become a member, oh, look at that. Well, let me just double check the real. It's weird. It went up and down yesterday to like 998, and then it just sort of died down. It went back down to 997. What I will say, by the way, is if you do become a member, which obviously plenty of people have, really appreciate it, because the members and the Patreons are what allow us to do 7 days a week of content. Is if you do become a member and you want to join the WhatsApp group with all the members, then just drop us a message or a comment, and we'll send you the link for it. And we will have a member show tomorrow. I'm hoping to do something special for when we hit 1,000 members, which looks like we have this evening. Woo! So yeah, that's cool. I love that. But what we'll do is I'll try and get it done. It's I'm just waiting to hear back from someone, but I'm hoping we'll have a little special members exclusive interview to celebrate. But yeah, if you want to become a member, please do. Really, like, I can't tell you how much that helps, but I understand times are hard and that. So Adam's a member. Yeah, I thought you're a patron, aren't you? I apologize, mate. It's yeah, say if you're not in the WhatsApp group and you're a member, send me a message and we'll get the link sent to you. Good to see everyone welcoming Adam. Yeah, we've hit 1,000 subscribers this evening. Thank you very much to everyone who subscribed. But we don't want to stop here. We want to keep going. Ian Dalgleish says he plays best with Tanner, always looks forward and in the right position. Remember the Millwall game? People wrote off Salic after he missed that header. Some people just need to be ignored. Yeah, mate, 100%. That was meant to be 2 separate comments, he says. Yes, mate, I agree with you. Damien says, I think Ruben's a class above the rest, and that's why he's looking like he's doing so much sometimes, because no one is near him, so he has no more. So he has to do more. He seems to see things others don't, just on another level. I agree with that to a certain extent. Sorba Thomas plus Salic. Oh, I'd love to get Sorba Thomas in me. Tanner should be back after the international break, Lewis says. That'd be great, mate. That would. We got some unbelievable players. And like, you imagine now, right, if in this sort of second week of the international break, all these players who've been out are back and fit. Like I said this before, we got too big a squad. We got too many people. Like there's too many. It's like, how do you get them in? Like, how do you pick them all? But yeah, Manny Barton has been targeted by Premier League clubs, Suze, and Perrett. Villa are very interested in Ruben as well. I've heard. So I think there'll be some surprise moves in the summer. I don't know who, but someone will. People will leave. Adam, to become a member, mate, you can do it through YouTube, or you can just press join. on the YouTube channel. I think it is. Just press join as long as you're signed in, and it'll take you through it. Or you can go to the Patreon. I think you're a member on Patreon, mate, anyway, aren't you? But yeah, just hit join, basically, on YouTube. Right, guys, I appreciate you all. It's been another fun show. I always love the Sunday shows. It's a good time. It's going to be a long international break, as always, but I'm really excited by Wales, though, so it's one of them, isn't it? So it's one of them, innit? Let people do their thing. We'll do our thing, and ultimately, all I want is the best for Cardiff City. Enjoy your company this evening. Take care, and we'll be back tomorrow. If you have more football talk, I'll be doing Rhodri gigs on football tomorrow night. Plus, we'll have some other good stuff throughout the week. In the meantime, I will see you soon. Take care. Member show tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Don't forget. In a bit.